let's do another day, another week analysis of where the markets could be heading, and also see what trades we have been able to take this last week. Today is an interesting day. We've had a few quite big earnings, and we can go over those earnings and the impact on the um, technical analysis part of it. So let's start our regular spies and cues analysis. If we look at monthly, we have said our monthly is in a recent uptrend, right? This is what we're looking at is that monthly uptrend. On a daily basis, we said in that uptrend we have a daily downtrend, which has, if we look at this area here, even on the hourly, it's the same chart, right? So what we're seeing is our daily trend has gone to the downside because we're making lower highs, right? So it's been lower highs continuously. It's lower highs. So what we're seeing now is in these lower highs, we're in that green to green zone, right? And so we consolidated up there. So our when we look at structure, it's rise, consolidate, rise, consolidate, fall, right? These are the two scenarios. In this instance, it was rise, consolidate, fall. And what this aligns to is this downtrend. Downtrend, pullback or rally in this instance, and then fall back down. When we fall back down, when we look at the daily, we have like almost like a doji on Monday. Today is a gap up, but it will be interesting to see how the markets react to a couple of the big earnings today, Microsoft and Alphabet. I think these two earnings are heading in the opposite direction. So it'll be interesting to see how the markets react to these two earnings. So as we look at what was happening the week before, we said, hey, if we were testing in this uptrend the 50% in the spies to head up, but knowing where we have some headwinds. And then when we had this consolidation, again, as a reminder, if we have rise, consolidate, rise, this is an uptrend. But what we're seeing is the opposite, right? So we would have been able to take a trade here if we had rise, consolidate, rise, but that didn't happen. So this is not in the picture. So downtrend. So when we go down to our pull the trigger, this is that area here that we see, this area here of consolidation. That's the area of consolidation that we see on the daily, right? The same area here. So when we look at this consolidation, we had a hard time making higher highs and higher lows. As you can see, it's mixed. Equal highs, lower low. Equal highs, higher low, higher high, but then that did not sustain. After that, it collapsed. Right. So now, when let me just how many of these do we have? So I'm just trying to remove some lines here. What has happened here is I added this midline, and so this midline is kind of confusing us for now. It's a new feature that TradingView added. So that is kind of muddying our view here. When we look at this area here, midline, there's too many lines, and it kind of confuses us, right? So just going through that exercise. Okay, good. So some of those lines are removed now. So in our long term, right, in our monthly uptrend, we don't forget this solid, very thick dash lines. Not solid, but thick dash line. Our daily is in contrast to those dash lines, which is at the 38.2. Our daily has a current downtrend, right? We have a current downtrend. We also have a daily uptrend within that recent move, right? That aligns with the monthly. We have this daily, but we're just looking at this monthly. So I just want to remove this one because we have this very weird scenario, lower highs, kind of weird macroeconomics, geopolitical conditions. So let's just remove the daily uptrend. So within this downtrend, now we're at that 50%. We tested that 50% out green to green and we collapsed. Right? In the downtrend, green to go down. Right? In an uptrend, green to go up. So Qs. What is happening with the Qs? It's very similar. Very similar. And we pulled back a little bit below that 23.6 on the monthly. On the daily, we have this daily in contrast with the recent low. So let's just remove this again, just to make it easier for us to see. So we are not quite at our green to green area. So I believe we have some more room to go down to the greens here, which also closes this gap. Again, as you can see, continuously lower high, continuous lower high, continuous lower low. Right? So it's very important to kind of pay attention to these. So what we had anticipated here to the upside a while ago, we can just ignore those. We can ignore all of these, but now we have new conditions, right? New market conditions. We have to reassess. That's why we do this weekly. We reassess, right? In our reassessment, yes, the market tends to go to the upside, but lower high continuously. So if we take a look at this, we keep breaching, right? But at 78.6, it got rejected. Again, if we look at this continuously, when we get the rejection, we know, okay, this is not going to go up. I'm going to play it to the downside. Right? This trend line that we drew last week or the prior week, it's breached multiple times. It was breached here. It tried to re-enter it. It's breached again. So this fib levels again from our monthly higher highs daily is a weakness, and again we're below that 38.2. So again, this is an opportunity to go down and play puts or shorts. If we kind of break, we formed a flag here or a pennant, right? So if we break the pennants down here, which is very good for us here, because when you look at the daily, that line is at the bottom of this daily here. So if that's how we open, we have an opportunity to take a trade there. So based on this, this previous week, very difficult to trade to the upside. Right, last week was, continuous to the downside. Yes, Tuesday, I know you had a trade to take it to the upside, but I'm sure I'll hear soon that you got stopped out.
That's right.
Yeah,
I learned my lesson.
But it was a good trade, right? There was nothing wrong with your trade. The setup, how you thought about it, was a good trade. The nature of the business is sometimes you get stopped out, right? And so when you have lower highs continuously, personally, I don't take those trades because I see lower highs continuously. But based on your analysis, it was not wrong to take the trade, right? Don't get discouraged because you were stopped out. So what we want to see now is it done again, making this move to the upside, or is it going to continue to move to the upside? So what I would like to see is this area here. This area here hold, right? And what by hold I mean we can either use it as support to go back up, or we can use it as a resistance to go back down. These are the scenarios. This is really what you need to look at over the next few days, right? Similar for spies within this consolidation zone. So if we break below anywhere, somewhere around here, it's time to go down, right? Especially this one, as you look at the long-term monthly range, we've pulled back to 38.2. Can we pull back some more? Right? Could we potentially go back down some more? Same here. And Qs have been strong. They were strong, if you recall, they were strong to go down the hardest, and now they are strong to hold up that recent pressure, downward pressure. They're strong. So they went down fast, they recovered, and now they're staying above better than the spies. Which I said, the spies are going to play some catch up game and they will get to that 61.8% together. So spies are playing catch up. At least that's how I see it. And so we are ready to see what actions to take. Really no trade today for those of us who use the 1 hour bar. There was no trade today. But yesterday, potential trade because of this kind of like a hammer kind of bar, but very, very short lived. Very short lived, right? If you wanted to take a regular exit, it's way up here, right? We're nowhere near there. When I take a trade like this, as I always say, like I'm mindful of where price goes. So if I could get 1x, I'm out. This one didn't even give 1x. This was very, very weak trade. So when we made this higher low from here, but price kept going down, my stop was tight. Right, my stop was at break even. So next time we come back somewhere here, I take the exit. I took the exit, like I think it was like 0.75 because I didn't feel like staying in the trade with too many unknowns, and there's downward pressure, right? There's downward pressure. We're playing with the trend, but there's too much downward pressure. So this is a couple of those things. So let's take a look at real quick before we analyze some potential trades. Let's take a look at extended hours. Microsoft earnings, fantastic. We're back to the 351 area. So somewhere up here is where we could potentially open if the markets continue to go the way it's indicated now. If we look at Alphabet, it's now the opposite story for Alphabet. The complete opposite story for Alphabet. So what this means is The way the markets are going to open tomorrow, it's really unknown because two giants are going in opposite direction. And when you look at the Nasdaq futures, not much happening. It's pretty much flat from where we closed. So pretty much flat. So yeah, yet to be discovered how those will turn out. All right, any questions before we go into your trades?
I'm curious, Beanie, when you get news like this on kind of US tech, do you ever use kind of like China tech, for example, as a maybe just a precursor to what you think will happen during the market hours tomorrow?
Oh, it's. I try
Or is it
not to look
too
at.
messy?
Yeah, I try not to look at the Asian market to predict because sometimes
Mm,
what you see is the Asian market will collapse, and so the U.S. futures will collapse, and then as soon as New York wakes up, we open up here. You see
mm,
this a lot, right? So 9:30 Eastern time, you feel like the market is collapsing, but then boom, all of a sudden we're up here. So hard to make that kind of prediction. Uh, Now, if this collapse is based on some major news that impacts the whole globe, like some big war, terrorism, or something like that, that could impact the whole globe, then I pay attention to this move, right?
mm.
And if I have any active trades, I want to start to think about, even if I have time with my option expirations, do I just take the loss and exit instead of losing 100%? Right. So those are some of the things I look at. Outside of that, I just let every market do its own thing. Yeah. All right. Trades for you.
Thanks. There was one trade that I took that was on SPY on Monday, and it was kind of almost honestly an exact mirror of the Qs. It was that hammer. It was kind of that was an area of value right there. That was also a demand zone in a higher time frame, and then you just see that big push up. It was the way I had drawn my chart. It was 50% green to green on the weekly, and then so I said, hey, I'm going to take a shot there, and so I entered in the next bar on the hourly, and
Yeah.
I'm still in the trade.
Where's your
Although
stop?
this is my stop is right below my 50% on the monthly, which is 417, around 417. Yeah, that's close
Okay.
right there.
Okay. Okay. So that's your stop. You're still in the trade. Again, like your Q trade from last week, be mindful of the current condition,
Yeah.
right? We're seeing a lot of consolidation, a repeat of this area. It tricked us to go up. It consolidated not for one day, right? For a few days, it stayed in this area. For a few days, it stayed in this area, and then it says, "I'm done," right? So kind of be
Mm.
mindful of that. Be mindful of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking probably, if we kind of go a little higher, I would take my at least half profit off that, and then move my stop loss up once the market opens tomorrow.
I mean, right now, this is positive, right? This trade is still positive
Yeah.
right now, but it uh, could go wrong, right?
Hmm.
It could go wrong very quickly. So if you want, your two is way up here.
Hmm.
So be mindful. I'm not saying it won't happen, right? Just be mindful that because we're making lower highs, we're, you know, and we're having some pressure to the downside. Just be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk about your trade next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any questions?
No other questions.
Okay.
Thanks,
Very
Benny.
good. All right. We will reconvene next week then.